Bookaholics, it's Isabel and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be doing a non-spoiler review of Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. As I said in my previous videos, I was going to do a video for this one and I've just been not doing it for so long, but I have my notes and I have all this, so I'm like, it's time to freaking do this already. So that is what I'm doing. Again, it's going to be non-spoilery, so people who haven't read it can also watch this video, so let's just get right into it. So, Children of Blood and Bone follows Zelie like a few years after her mother was taken by the king orders to be killed because she had magic. It pretty much follows her as she runs into Mari and they have to go on this big quest to save magic. That's pretty much what the story is. I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it too much. The first thing I want to say about this book is that it is just plain amazing. The characterization, the world building, the fact that it is a fantasy but also says something about our world was done so flawlessly. It is just so freaking wonderful. At the end of this book, Tomi Adeyemi actually does a little author's note. In her author's note, she says that even though it is a fantasy, even though there are things that do not exist in our world, the things that happen to the humans and to the ones who have magic and the ones who don't does happen in our world, which I really loved. And one of the things she says, what she says is, but if this story affected you in any way, all I ask is that you don't let it stop within the pages of this text. If you cried for Zulakia and Salem, cry for innocent children like Jordan Edwards, Tamir Rice, and Ian Stanley Jones. They were 15, 12, and 7 when they were shot and killed by police. So like, this fantasy novel might be a fantasy, there might be a big world building, there might be all that, but what I really appreciate about this is how not relatable it is to me, because I don't experience any of that, but I know a lot of people do, and the people who experience that, I think reading this book, they would be able to relate to it so much. Like, I've learned the history of slavery and stuff like that, and this one featured, it's not really a spoilery, it's what happened prior to this book, but like there was hangings and stuff like that, and like it's sickening in the fact that this is a fantasy and has that, but it's sickening to even think that that happened in our world where there's nothing like magic or anything. It's literally just people were discriminated against because of their skin color. This, they were scared of magic and everything like that, which is no excuse at all, but like in our world it's literally just discriminate of race, and it is honestly sickening. That's what I'm going to say and related to our world, because there's a lot to say about it in this one, but again, I can't relate to it, so I don't want to say too much about it. Now let's get into the world building. Now the world building in here, oh my god, I'm like speechless by how well she was able to do this. Like, I cannot believe that this is her debut novel. Like, it's insane. The effort she put into building this world and like the thought that she put into it and everything like that was just so well done. Like, it all made sense in this world, and like even though everything wasn't revealed to you quickly, it's not like you were confused of how the world works, nothing like that. Like, I knew what was going on, and even though slowly things were being revealed, it just made sense that that was what it was. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. I don't want to say too much about it because there's a lot of things in here. That's one of the things that I'm just so surprised about. It's a 525 book, and like that's a pretty hefty book, but the things that go on in here, it's crazy that it's only one book. They go from doing one thing to doing another thing like so quickly, but it's written so well and done so flawlessly that it like makes sense that all this action stuff is happening in this, to me, tiny book with all that happens in it. And apparently this is being made into a movie, which I did not know, but now that I know, I'm just like so excited, and like I'm scared to see how they do it because there's so much in here that I feel like this could even be made into 2 movies, just the first book. Like, that's just how dense it is. Enough about that. Let's talk about characterization. The first character I want to talk about is Zelie. Zelie, I'm not even 100% sure how to say her name, but I want to talk about Zelie first. So she is like the strongest character in here which makes sense since her character was the point of view mostly. But like how human she was as well was done so good. Zelie is a very strong character. She's very determined and protective. Probably one of her biggest strengths is her family. Her family is the most important thing to her, which makes her strength kind of build up. Like she really showed how strong she was based on how protective she was over her family and what she would do to protect them. One of the things that made her really human was her self-conscious in herself. Self-conscious of her abilities and what she believes she can do. Like her family and even like the friends she eventually makes, they believed in her 100%, but there were times in this book that she was very self-conscious, not really secure in herself and what she could do. The fact that she was going through all this, that her strength in protecting her family would always come out, but like when she was thinking of what she had to do, what her requirements were, like you really felt for her, and so I really liked that. I'm not going to talk about like any kind of thing beyond that in like the relationships, because that could be a spoiler in how this book progresses. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about the individual characters rather than the characters interacting, except for maybe Zelie's brother. So Zelie's brother, Tizane, he was probably one of my more favorite characters in this novel. I'm hoping we get to see a point of view from him in the next book. We didn't get to see it in here. I really loved that he was so loyal and devoted to his sister and his family. Like that was his biggest strength. Like that's both of Zelie and Tizane's strength, is their family and how loyal and devoted they are to making sure they're safe and making sure they're protected. I really love that. One of the things that made him also human, like what I really loved about Tomi Adeyemi's characterization, is that they all have strength and a weakness, and she showed their weaknesses and strength in equal proportions, which I really appreciated. With Tizane, one of his big weaknesses was his anger. He would get angry, not necessarily very quickly, but if he felt like his sister was kind of going off course or was doing things that he thought would put him and his family in jeopardy, he would really make his point be known, and that would come out as really angry, and sometimes through that anger he would make very bad decisions, and like I loved seeing those different sides of them. I just really liked that these characters were all flawed in their own way, but also that they all had a certain strength that actually brought them all together in their pursuit, in their quest that they're on. That's what I'm going to say about Zelie's brother. Next character I'm going to talk about is Amari. So Amari is the daughter of the Tyrant King. She was probably the one who probably developed the most as a character under her father. She was very kind of passive and not necessarily controlled easily, but like she was kind of scared to go against her father. But when something happens in this book, she is pushed into finally kind of going against him and following her own path. She eventually gets in the circle of Zelie and Tizane, and she really became her own person, which I really loved. Last character I'm going to talk about is Inan. I think that's how you say his name. Inan, I don't know. It's I-N-A-N, so I don't know how to exactly say his name. Inan was probably the most frustrating character ever. Like maybe not ever, because there are some characters who are more frustrating than him, but like I really found that he didn't have much strength in him. He mostly had weaknesses, although there are people who are like that. So I do really believe that his character was like that, but like he was just really frustrating. He couldn't really make decisions. He would go back and forth and like not really pick a side. He was just a really frustrating character, and I didn't really care for him. He was very necessary to the story, he was, but I didn't really care that he wouldn't make an actual decision and decide for himself. He would just be very quick in making a decision, and then very quick making a different decision, and it was just really frustrating. One thing I do want to talk about is the magic. Now, the magic was very thought out well. So pretty much there's a few people, they are born with white hair, and that's the indication that they will have magic in them. As this world developed, the magic became something to fear. Then the people who have white hair are discriminated against and are treated very badly. There are slaves, which is just sickening to think about, and like in this book you really want to see see that. I think what I liked most about this is that Tomi Adeyemi was not scared to show the really dark and gritty parts of this world that is also in our world, unfortunately. I didn't really talk about much of the magic, but like, I feel like that is something that you really need to learn while you're reading this, so I don't think I'm going to talk too much about that. So yeah, I don't know if I have too much to say, just because I don't want to accidentally say something that would be very, very spoilery. The most parts that I loved is the world building, the characterization, and how it relates to our world. Like, those are the main things that I really, really loved about this book. So I'm going to say I really, really enjoyed this book. If you didn't know, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and it is just one of my favorite books this year so far. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you read this book, or if you were thinking of reading this book, or if I somehow convinced you to read this book. Please let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Check my other social media accounts, my Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram. I make a video every Monday and Thursday, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye!